Okay, we'll start with this. Well, I'm sure most of you have heard that Luis Ortiz is livid.
Wow, what happened?
He claims he was lowballed. In an Instagram comment that he released earlier today, it reads, "It's a no-go for June 1st. Sorry, guys. We were told to stay as quiet as possible and play possum until the fight had been made. But because every time some called Luis out..."
What?
I think he meant someone.
Yeah, maybe.
"Someone called Luis out, it would be a gimmick to promote themselves, but it didn't work. We just received the news from promoter that it's a no-go and it was all a gimmick, and Hearn's lowball offers will not be accepted. And no contract even ever got sent, so sorry to all the loyal fans. Luis really wanted this title shot. Let me tell you something.
The fuck are you gonna tell me?
It's up to you what you want to believe. You can look at all the available information. You can look at all the facts regarding Luis Ortiz, regarding Anthony Joshua, regarding Eddie Hearn. You can look at all the facts revolving around those three players in this game and draw your own conclusions.
Think for yourself. It's a free country.
All you and me can do is react to this news. And if you want to know what my reaction is, if you want to know what I think about it, and you're here, so I'll assume that you do, these are just my thoughts.
Pay attention.
Since when does Anthony Joshua...
Unified champion.
When has Anthony Joshua ever needed the name of Luis Ortiz to promote a fight or turn over a profit? In all seriousness, in all fucking seriousness, when has Anthony Joshua ever needed to self-promote himself by attaching his name to the name of Luis Ortiz? That in and of itself gave me a chuckle. Like, who do these guys think they are? Like,
I don't know.
You know, Luis Ortiz, God bless him. Family man, good fighter, solid guy, great amateur background, all that jazz. But Luis Ortiz, let's be honest here. His last couple of fights, since losing to Deontay Wilder and earning a recorded purse of $500,000 for that fight, that's a career high payday. That is his career high payday. $500,000.
All right.
For the subsequent three fights that he's had against Razvan Kojano,
on an undercard,
Travis Kaufman,
on an undercard,
Christian Hammer,
on an undercard.
For the subsequent three fights that he's had, he hasn't headlined. He doesn't headline his own events. Those were all undercard fights.
He's not a headliner.
So you're not even in the realm to where you're being tasked to sell an event off your own name. Rather, you're fighting on the undercards of other guys' events because your name isn't strong enough for you to carry the event yourself. Hence, you still fighting on undercard fights. That being said, Anthony Joshua headlines. I mean, do I even gotta say this shit? He headlines his own events. He sells his own tickets. He's got his own loyal following that is willing to travel, I might add. I mean, it goes without saying. Why would Anthony Joshua need to use the name of Luis Ortiz to self-promote when he's already making... I mean, do I really gotta say this? It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. But because there are people that are dumb enough to buy into this stuff, it has to be said that no, Anthony Joshua has never needed the name of Luis Ortiz to sell a fight, because without the name of Luis Ortiz, he sold quite a few fights, quite a few pay-per-views, quite a few tickets, quite a few asses, and quite a few seats. He doesn't need the name of Luis Ortiz to self-promote. Let's get that right out of the way. The second part of this that caught my attention is, they're claiming that they were lowball. We have an undercard fighter who has looked less than spectacular in his last two fights. He's looked less than spectacular. I'm not faulting him, you understand? I'm not trying to knock him. I'm just saying that those, your last two contests, they didn't end in spectacular fashion.
Neither of them.
People weren't buzzing off of the Travis Kaufman fight. People weren't buzzing off of the Christian Hammer fight, which was his last fight. Quite honestly, there were quite a few people that were saying he didn't look too hot against Christian Hammer because Christian Hammer actually posed some resistance. Those things in mind, both of those fights, what were they? Undercard fights, right? You weren't even headlining your own event. So whatever. But
you're not a headliner.
You got an undercard fighter claiming that he's being lowballed by a unified champion that makes
unbelievable
exponentially more money than he does, right? And the allegation is that Eddie Hearn, he lowballed us and we're not accepting his offers. Sidebar: if you're alleging that Eddie Hearn made you an offer that you didn't like, a quote-unquote lowball offer, then what that indicates is that there were actually talks taking place, meaning there was a dialogue between your team and Anthony Joshua's team. Otherwise, what do you mean lowball offer? You're saying that he offered you something, so at minimum what that means is you were in contention for that fight. Where a lot of people believed that Luis Ortiz was never in the running, according to Luis Ortiz, Eddie Hearn made him an offer. And whether or not he liked that offer is besides the point, because he did make him an offer, proving that he was in the running for that fight. Back to the point. You're claiming that they sent you a lowball. Who are you to be lowballed? You understand? Do you sell pay-per-views? Have you ever been on pay-per-view in America? We know you never been on a pay-per-view in the UK, so have you ever been on a pay-per-view in America?
No.
Are you headlining your own events in America?
No.
What was your highest recorded purse? Because as far as I know, your highest recorded purse is $500,000. And you'll excuse me for saying that I don't believe that Eddie Hearn offered you less than $500,000. I don't believe that. And you want to know why I don't believe that? Because Eddie Hearn just offered Oscar Rivas, a guy with a lower profile than you've got, a guy who's less known than you are.
Oh, he's definitely a heavyweight who's hungry for an opportunity like you are.
But you know what he offered that guy? Over $1 million to fight Dillian White. So you'll excuse me for saying that, no, I don't believe that Eddie Hearn offered you less than $500,000. I don't even think he offered you $500,000. Quite honestly, I think they offered you more than that, and I don't know. I guess you guys are expecting to hit the fucking lottery?
You want a percentage?
There's something going on in the sport of boxing, ladies and gentlemen. There's something going on. Because when you have a fighter that doesn't even headline his own events, when you have a fighter who's essentially an undercard fighter, a fighter whose highest recorded purse is $500,000, right? When you got this kind of a fighter, and he's claiming that he's being lowballed,
Okay.
it's because that fighter doesn't place any value on the opportunity that he's being afforded. That, look, you haven't earned this opportunity via the powers that be, the alphabets. You're not this guy's mandatory. So you just even being in the running is a lucky stroke of chance, a fortuitous happenstance. You even being in the running, you even receiving any kind of an offer is a lucky day for you. Because the reality of it all is, this guy don't even gotta look in your direction. Not unless you make him look in your direction by becoming one of his mandatory challenges.
Again.
But when you got an undercard fighter treating an opportunity like this in this fashion, it's because there's something going on in the sport of boxing. You got a lot of guys who feel really self-entitled, and they want to put, what they want to do is pull a veil over the boxing community's eyes. That's why these statements are even released to the public in the first place, because they don't want the public to view them as a fighter that is pricing themselves out. That, you know what, you feel a little bit too entitled and you're not being reasonable. They don't want to be viewed in that scope, but that's very much what's going on. Everybody gets in front of Anthony Joshua, and all of a sudden, they're too good for every fucking thing. I'm not taking that. That's a lowball. You fight on a regular basis for far less money than what I think they offered you. That's a fact. Now, you can continue to fight Razvan Kojanus and Travis Kaufmans and the Christian Hammers of the heavyweight division. You can continue to fight those guys while you wait for Wilder to give you a call. But even if Wilder does give you a call based on what you made in the first fight, I doubt that it would be equal to what you stood to make with Anthony Joshua. Now, we don't know what they were offered. Maybe that's going to come out, maybe it doesn't. We don't know what they were offered. We don't have an actual dollar amount to fully gauge
situation,
just what's going on here. But you'll excuse me for saying that with Eddie Hearn offering Oscar Rivas, a guy with less of a profile than Luis Ortiz, with Eddie Hearn offering that guy over $1 million fucking to fight Dillian White. With those things in mind, I sincerely doubt that he offered Luis Ortiz anything in the realm of just a meager $500,000, and that's your career high purse, $500,000. I think he offered Luis Ortiz and his team more than that, but these guys feel self-entitled, as a lot of guys do in front of Anthony Joshua. That all of a sudden these guys get in front of Anthony Joshua and they're too good for fucking everything. Well, you know what? You know what you can do? You can turn it down and you can keep it the fuck pushing. Because if you feel self-entitled, it must be because I guess you think you can make that on your own. Okay, so go make it. If that's what you've been doing, fighting on undercards, if that's, how you look at it, okay, go do that. If you can do better, go do better. What's really happening here is that a lot of guys don't want to lose their momentum and they don't want to lose their steam ahead of an Anthony Joshua fight. They know that there's a chance that they may go into that fight and come out with another loss on their record. So what they do is they name a price for that loss. They put a number on that loss. And unless they get that number, which usually tends to be kind of astronomical, they put a number on that loss, that they're selling a portion of their record. And unless it's that number, they don't want to fight. Why? Because they don't put any value on the opportunity. It's an opportunity. That's what it is. It's an opportunity for you to fight at Madison Square Garden in front of 17,000 people. That's what it is. To fight for 3, not just 1, but 3 of the 4 major titles in your weight class. Now, you don't look at that as an opportunity. You're only looking at the dollar amounts attached to the fight because, quite honestly, you don't view the fight as a winnable fight, whether it's the fighter or the fighter's team, because maybe Luis Ortiz wants to fight, and it's his team that doesn't like the numbers. It could be that way. But any way you slice it, I see the pattern. These guys get in front of this guy, and all of a sudden, they're too good for every fucking thing, so that they can turn around and fight someone else for less money. Far less money. Luis Ortiz ain't no spring chicken. This guy ain't got all the time in the world. You don't have the kind of time on your side to where you could turn down these kinds of opportunities because you don't like the money. For Luis Ortiz, it's a now or never kind of situation because every year you're getting older and you're already on the older side in terms of the heavyweights that are out there. You don't got forever. You're not going to be able to compete at this level forever. So you need to make what money you can make now. And that's reality. There's people out there that actually enable this kind of behavior. There's people out there that say stupid shit like, oh, Luis Ortiz's marquee value went up since the Wilder fight.
It did?
Really? It went up? Well, okay. The Wilder fight was a fight that Luis Ortiz lost. It's not a fight that he won. It's a fight that he lost. So his marquee value going up, it's a bit tenuous. But okay, maybe. For argument's sake, let's entertain that. If his marquee value went up as a result of that fight, then why is he not headlining his own cards today? He's fought 3 times since the Deontay Wilder fight, you understand. He's fought 3 times, and every single one of those 3 fights was an undercard fight. So if this guy's marquee value went up, then why isn't he carrying his own cards off his own name?
Any ideas?
Doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Well, neither does most of the shit that PBC's fans, neither does most of the shit that they say. They usually don't make no motherfucking sense. They expect Anthony Joshua to hemorrhage dollar amounts that far exceed what these fighters are worth for the simple fact that they ask for them. Now, I don't know if you guys know how the sport of boxing works, and I don't know if you guys have any idea how business works, but business don't work like that, and boxing don't work like that. If you want to get to where you need to go, you gotta make sacrifices. Maybe it's not the dollar amount that you wanted. Maybe you wanted well in excess of that. But look at your options. You're not fighting Wilder right now. Wilder's about to fight Dominic Breazeale.
Not you.
If you're waiting on Deontay Wilder to be your next meal ticket, a Deontay Wilder rematch, here's your problem. You're not about to fight that guy right now. So you're on the back burner right now. And every moment that you're on the back burner, you're getting older. Now, what do you think you stand to make from a Deontay Wilder rematch?
How much will that be?
Maybe you make a little more than you did in the first fight. Maybe you make a little more. But hypothesize that what you stand to make in the Wilder rematch, if it comes off, if you're still winning, you understand, what you stand to make in a rematch, do you think that amount is going to be greater than what's in front of you right now?
For Anthony Joshua.
Because if it's not, and you're just haggling for more money when you're in no position to haggle, basically. You're in no position to haggle, and time really isn't on your side. If you walk away from a situation like this, that is a self-inflicted wound. There are many people out there speculating as to why Luis Ortiz would go, why would he turn an opportunity like this down? You ain't got forever. There's people out there speculating that maybe it's not even money. Maybe Luis Ortiz was just looking for a way to avoid that fight altogether because they don't think he's clean right now. Lest we forget, Luis Ortiz popped 2 times for banned substances. Once in 2014 and again ahead of the first set of negotiations for the Wilder fight. Just before that fight was about to go down, Luis Ortiz got popped. And there are people out there that look at that and say, if he's not jumping on this opportunity, it's because he's trying to avoid the VADA testing associated with the fight. Now, myself, I'll say this. Luis Ortiz is in the clean boxing program, co-run by VADA, the same VADA that just caught Jarrell Miller in the act. So I'm not completely sold that that's the reason that Luis Ortiz turned down these offers, or his team turned down these offers. I'm not completely sold. It's a compelling reason. I can see why some of you guys out there are saying that, and it's a compelling reason. But I'm not sure, because he is enrolled in the clean boxing program, and that's random testing year-round. It seems more likely to me that this is associated with finances, that they don't like the money.
Usually what it is.
Because more often than not, that's what we see happen when guys get in front of Anthony Joshua. They start acting like they're too good for every fucking thing. Seems to me that them turning this down is more associated with money.
They said as much.
Well, cool. You ain't gotta take it. If you don't like the offer, don't take the offer. But you brought this news to the public. You brought this news to the public, thereby making it subject to the court of public opinion. And in the court of public opinion, some people are going to look at this and say, look, this guy is in no position to drive such a hard bargain. Where he wants to haggle and all this shit, and you think you're being lowballed, guess what? You can walk away, and another guy is just going to step up.
Show must go on.
That's the reality of it. Luis Ortiz was just an option among several options. That you are but a contingency to an extenuating circumstance. That when the Jarrell Miller fight was orchestrated, this was not the position that they intended to be in. But you are one name in a pool of names. It's you. It's
Manuel Chaw.
Michael Hunter. It's also Andy Ruiz now. Trevor Bryan, he's in the background screaming he's willing to step up. So you walking away, while it would have been a nice little fight, while it would have given the fans something that they've been asking for, at least a portion of those fans, while it would have been a nice, intriguing situation and a good substitute for what we were getting ready to see, the greatest cost to anyone as a result of Ortiz's team declining this offer, the greatest cost comes not at the cost of the fans, comes not at the cost of Anthony Joshua. The greatest cost comes at the cost of Luis Ortiz himself. Because how many of these kinds of opportunities are going to roll around for this guy, especially at his age?
In all seriousness.
Do you really think at his age he can afford to wait?
Do you?
Well, I'll tell you what. Whether he can or can't, that's what he's decided to do, and all me and you can do is react to that. As an author of YouTube videos regarding the sport of boxing, I personally take most pleasure in talking about fights that are actually happening so that we can break those fights down and anticipate the thrill of anticipation that we all get right before the fight, wondering if it's going to work out the way we thought it was going to work out. But these kinds of conversations, this kind of content, once again, a fighter is a low ball, this kind of shit, it gets tired.
It's boring.
I'll tell you, a lot of these guys these days, they think they're top billing, they think they're superstars, and the reality of it is that a lot of them aren't. But that doesn't stop them from thinking that, and that doesn't stop them from operating in that way. And as a result, shit like this happens.